Hi, everybody. This is Florida Trailblazer checking in with you from the studio. And I know that may sound odd because you're used to watching my videos online and seeing my various postings. But this is something a little bit different that I'm trying out. In the future, I may be doing a Florida Trailblazer podcast or a radio show. And it's nothing that's set in stone just yet. I don't have a clear format or direction. It's just an idea. But this episode and series is dedicated to those of you that have contributed and donated to Florida Trailblazer. It's just my way to show appreciation and give back to you some more content because I truly appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. It's afforded me the opportunity to go out and explore these places and showcase them, and I want to give back and make sure that I give you the best quality content, whether it's through videos, postings, recordings like this. Whatever I can do, that's my focus, to give back to you, because I do appreciate your support and just being fans and following along with my adventures over the years. It means a lot to me. When I'm out there videoing these sites and documenting these places, of course, I love being there and experiencing the history, but my main focus is to do it for you, to show you these places, to showcase them. And that I want to make sure I get the right content and the best quality so you can see them through my eyes. That's always my goal when I'm out there. And I'll do what it takes when I'm out there to do that. You know, I'll hike through the bush. I'll go through creeks. I'll go off trail. I'll do whatever I got to do to showcase the best places so that you can experience this beautiful wilderness and history that we have here in Florida. So on this episode, I wanted to discuss a recent adventure, actually a couple adventures that I've been on, finding some cemeteries. And this was a two-part adventure because the first time I went out there, I looked for one cemetery, and then the second time I went back out to visit the area a couple weeks later just to see if I can find a different grave site that was in another part of the woods there. So the first time I went out, this was located in Alafaya River area, the corridor in that part of Florida. And just so you know, all the places that I explore, they're public lands. I have a public lands map that I always keep on my computer and on my maps I take with me, and I'm out there exploring. I know where I'm going is going to be a public place. I don't like to trespass. Definitely don't do that kind of stuff. So I make sure wherever I'm going to be hiking, it's a public land, part of a preserve or a park or a forest that is state-owned or county-owned, so where people can go and just explore. So these cemeteries are located on a public land area of this preserve. It's located by the Alafaya River. It's part of the Alafaya River corridor. And it's off the main trail. There's really no main trails in these areas. There's some forest roads back there, some pastures actually that are still used for cattle leasing, things like that. So when I'm out there exploring these places, it can be a little challenging because I don't have a trail to hike on. I'm just kind of going through the woods, but I enjoy that part of it. You know, I enjoy the challenge of that, the navigating and tracking down these places. So this particular area used to be a homestead or a ranch back in the 1930s or 40s, and it may date back earlier than that. The reason I know it goes back that far because I've seen aerial maps, old aerial maps from 1930s and 1940s that show this place there. You can see it on these maps. You can see the photos of the structures, the pastures, and everything that was there during that time period. When you look at a modern map, you don't see that. You see just woods. It's all overgrown. Those structures are gone. So I'll often compare the old aerial maps to the new ones and kind of break it down that way. I'll kind of see where I got to go and where this area was during that time. It's a way to kind of travel back in the past, if you will. I kind of see it that way. So I located this area through the aerial maps. I found like where the forest road was today. That used to be the road that went into the homestead back in those early days. And I went in that way, found my way into the woods. And back in the early days, they would bury the families around the homesteads and the ranches they lived on. They would just bury them there in different plots. So this cemetery was part of something like that. The folks that lived there, they had a cemetery on site. And when they passed away, they'd bury their family members there. So the structures are gone. Any remnants of those days are pretty much erased because nature has reclaimed this land. But when you get out there, the cemetery is usually what remains. I like to see the cemeteries maintained or kept up. But oftentimes they're not. They're lost to the wilderness. Nature's reclaiming them too, and people don't get back and explore these places and clean them up. And oftentimes the tombstones begin to break down, or they're vandalized, or people take them. So there's all kinds of factors that go into that. And in this particular case, the cemetery was badly damaged. I could barely see any of the tombstones. In fact, I think I found maybe one or two tombstones. And when I found those, I couldn't even read the tombstones. So that was really discouraging. I at least did a video there to document what I saw. Hopefully bring some life to the history and show some respect and honor to the people buried there by doing that. But I don't even know their names. I don't know what years they lived because there's nothing that indicates that on these tombstones because they're broken, they're damaged. It's just been so many years. There's no maintenance. There's neglect, and it's sad. But hopefully, by doing these videos and sharing them online, people will start to recognize these places and get out there and get inspired to document them and help clean them up as well. So that was one. I found this cemetery is back in in these pastures. I remember hiking out there. I had to go through a fence where they keep the cows in. I got through there, and then you're kind of looking out for cows and stuff like that. And I got into this wooded area, and you wouldn't even know, but back in those days there was a homestead there, and it's all woods now. And I didn't even know if I'd find the cemetery, but I found it. So I found some of the broken tombstones, like I mentioned, and that was rewarding to at least see that, to find something like that and be able to document it. So I spent some time there, did my video clips, and did a lot of photos. Just kind of took in the area. It was really peaceful out there. The thing is, I knew there was another grave site maybe about a mile away from this particular area because they weren't the only people that lived out there during that time. There was other homesteads around the area, so there was another burial site a little further out. I didn't have time to get to it that day, so I kind of left knowing that there was something else out there unexplored that I didn't get to see yet. So I decided to go back out to that site recently and look for that cemetery. And that was a little more challenging, I got to say, because I did the same thing. I looked at aerial photos from the past and kind of tracked down where this area would have been, and had a general location of where the cemetery should be, this grave site. And this one didn't have multiple people buried there. It was just a single grave site, just one person, which makes it even more challenging because you're looking for just one marker, not necessarily like a fenced-in cemetery with multiple tombstones. You're looking for just one marker, and that can be a lot harder in these places, especially when they're all overgrown with woods and dense vegetation. So I got back out to this area, made my way through the woods, and everything was going really good. I found some of the old pathways and roads that were used to get back to this homestead area. They were overgrown, but I did find them. I could kind of make them out. And usually a lot of times I'll make my own way out there. I'll make my own path and just kind of get to where I got to go. So I did a little bit of that too. But I got to the area, supposedly where the cemetery is located, and I was really discouraged because there was no marker. There was nothing there. And I questioned myself, did I find the right place? Am I in the right location? And I spent like an hour or two just kind of going around the woods. And I had done a bunch of video clips up before then to kind of work it together. So I did a video clip going to the site, going through the woods, and I was hoping by the time I got to the area, I could just do my final video clip of the actual cemetery itself, the burial site. But when I got there, there was no burial site to be found, at least that I could see. There was no marker. So it's hard to see anything when you don't have evidence of a marker of something in these places. So I looked around, didn't really see anything. I did see some like piping and things like that, stuff that's been out there from before, kind of laying around. So that's really the only thing I could see. What is mysterious about it is right where the location is, where the cemetery should be, the burial site, there was a iron rod sticking out of the ground. And I was thinking to myself, could that be a makeshift marker that was put there to kind of indicate that there is a grave site here, but it's not like an official marker? It could be that, or it could just be someone had stuck a metal rod in the ground. I mean, I just don't know. It's really hard to know. So I explored around as much as I could, but I left that area a little discouraged because I couldn't complete my task. I had found the cemetery before in a previous trip, but this grave site still eludes me. And it's one of those sites where, I had this feeling of, well, did I look around good enough? Did I miss something? But it's highly likely that the marker is just gone. It's been so long. I think this one dates back to 1903. The marker is just gone now, so there's really no way to tell without looking at official burial records taken by the state, things like that. And I will look into that. I'll contact people I know to help me out to see if they have any records of what the last report was on the site. So that's kind of a recent adventure. I left that site. I went back and then I did my video. I finished my video. I might post it online. I'm not sure yet. I really don't have a grave to show on the video, so we'll see how it goes. But that's just some of what I encounter out there. And it's just what keeps me coming back each week is that kind of stuff. It keeps me hungry. I want to see what I can find the next time. So that's just one of my recent adventures, finding these old cemeteries where the ranches used to be in the early 1900s. And I hope you enjoyed hearing about that. And I'm going to keep recording these episodes for you, sort of behind the scenes, about some of my adventures and about just Florida Trailblazer in general. So I hope you're looking forward to that. And again, I appreciate your support, your donations, your contributions. It really makes a difference and means a lot to me. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you listening. Take care.